Hello, welcome to a new episode of What the F. To the few people out there who watch my videos, apologies for the lateness of this one. I just generally have, I kind of have difficulty coming up with topics, like, about what to talk about. I mean, I like to talk, and sometimes I like to kind of rant about stuff, but a lot of my past videos have been big things that I've always wanted to talk about, and I've done them, so now I'm thinking, well, what do I talk about now? And sometimes like a subject will come to me, sometimes it won't. So I've been thinking about what to talk about. So apologies for the delay. Now the topic of this video is kind of long because I couldn't come up with a short name for it. The topic is essentially should a famous person's crimes or alleged crimes prevent you from enjoying their material. Now, a while back, I sort of touched on this a little bit when I did a video. One of my first videos I did was about Michael Jackson, and it was I'll put a link to the video if you're not familiar with it. But I essentially pointed out in that video that a news story appeared in the tabloid paper at the time that was alleging that through some FBI files that were gotten under the Freedom of Information Act in America, it alleged that Geordie Chandler, who was kind of the first to accuse Michael Jackson of being a pedophile, wasn't the first family that he paid off. There were others, apparently. Now, I kind of debated in that, I kind of said, I'm done defending the guy. I believe all that stuff now. And this is sort of a little bit of an update. Since then, there's been nothing about that. And my brother kind of pointed out to me, he was like, geez, Dave, if something like that were true, it would have been in all the newspapers, because it would have been absolute solid confirmation that Michael Jackson was a pedophile. And I kind of debated in that video, and geez, should I still listen to his music? His music is great, it's fantastic stuff, but if he is what he was, if he was a pedophile, should I still listen to his music? And I kind of debated about that, and the answer is, yeah, I still listen to his music. As for the belief of whether or not he's a pedophile, I'm kind of in the realm of I don't know. There would certainly, the guy was an oddball, certainly, but again, oddball doesn't equal pedophile. So I kind of don't know. Let's just say I have doubts, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I might come back to it in another video. But I remember that because, again, that was kind of what this video is about, which is I debated over could I still enjoy Michael Jackson's music if it was proven that he was a pedophile. And the reason the topic came up recently, right, is a movie director recently. It was recently in the news that the director Bryan Singer. Now most people know Bryan Singer from movies like Valkyrie and The Usual Suspects. Stuff like that, but primarily he's known amongst the geek community, like myself. He's primarily known for the X-Men franchise. He directed X-Men 1, X-Men 2, and he served as a producer for I think the third X-Men and X-Men First Class. But he's recently come back to the fold, as it were, and he's directing the new X-Men movie, which is out soon, Days of Future Past. Now, the reason I mention him, as most a lot of you will probably know watching this video, is he was recently accused of rape, and I suppose it would be pedophilia. I don't know. We all have the perception of pedophiles that they like little kids, little children, but essentially pedophilia, the clinical definition is if you have an attraction to anyone under the age of consent. Now that can be like the age of consent in some places is 16 or 18 or whatever. But anyone below that, like let's say 14 or 14, 13 down, some people would classify that as pedophile. Now I've got 3 stories come up here because it's Bryan Singer's not the only one I'm going to mention, because there's other instances where a celebrity has expressed terrible views on a subject, and I'm fans of these 3 people. And it's the debate, can you still enjoy their material despite their outrageous views. Like with Bryan Singer now, again, these are just allegations. I want to stress that. I mean, I'm not so high and mighty to think that lawyers are going to see this and go, what the hell did he say? I'm going to sue him. I mean, no one's going to fucking really see this and think like, oh God, he's slandering Bryan Singer. So I'm going to stress that they're allegations. The guy's being sued at the moment, and actually he has pulled out of all press interviews and television interviews in the lead up to the X-Men thing, because it really wouldn't be proper that he's putting himself out there at the moment, given the allegations against him. Now, got up here, according to it, the guy, his name Michael Egan III. I always find that weird when people have that after they name like the third or the second. But he's claiming that Bryan Singer excuse me, sexually abused him as a teenager. And the allegation is that there were that Hollywood bigwigs would have these parties where they would, like, we've all heard of, like, sometimes these, sex parties where, like, women and strippers and hookers are invited and all sorts of fucking hedonistic shenanigans go on. But this guy is alleging that at one of these parties organized, not just Bryan Singer, he's apparently suing others, but Bryan Singer's the only one we know about. But he's alleging that he was at one of these parties when he was 15 years old, and he was an aspiring model and actor, and he's claiming that Bryan Singer sexually abused him during a trip to Hawaii in 1999. And it was, he says he was as young as 15 years old, and it's, I mean, geez, that's a heavy fucking accusation to level at anybody. Now, it says here as well, in reference, because the guy released a statement, obviously, because he's not just suing Bryan Singer, but it says, none of the defendants in Michael Egan's cases have admitted to abusing him. I mean, again, who would? I mean, even if Bryan Singer's guilty of sin, he's not going to say it, because most people, when they're accused of something like that, automatically deny it, because again, it's a heinous crime to be sexually abusing anyone under the age of consent. I mean, again, that's rape, that's abuse, and Bryan Singer has been accused of this. Now, like I said earlier about Michael Jackson, can you enjoy the material? Like, again, I'm a big fan of Bryan Singer. Again, I'm a geek. I love the X-Men movies, especially the ones he had a hand in, and he directed a Superman movie, and I liked it. Thought it was a great film. Again, a lot of people didn't think so, but I thought it was a good movie. So I'm a fan of the man's work. Now, the question I just keep posing is, like, can you enjoy the material? And I would say yes, because again, there's some debate about should people go see X-Men Days of Future Past when it comes out. And I would say yes. And primarily, the reason I say that is because as important as Bryan Singer is to the entire project of the movie, he's not the only one. He's the director. He shouts action and all that, and he basically makes the movie. But there's producers, there's writers, there's sound people, and there's, of course, the cast. So to not go see that movie would basically be saying to the likes of Hugh Jackman, Michael Fassbender, and James McAvoy, who were in the movie, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, all sorts. They're bringing in all sorts back from the X-Men franchise. It would be like saying they're guilty by association. Just because they were in a movie directed by Bryan Singer, who has these allegations against him, they think, well, we're not going to go see the movie. Even though, Hugh Jackman, Fassbender, and fucking McAvoy seem like perfectly nice guys, nothing bad about them. And it would be kind of sad against everyone who's worked so hard to make this film to have to suffer because of what the director has been accused of doing. And I mean, I for one, when X-Men Days of Future Past comes out, I will be going to see it, because again, I'm a fan, and that's that. Now, again, I stress Bryan Singer hasn't been convicted. I don't think he's necessarily even been arrested. He's being sued. I mean, it's not like police showed up at his door and handcuffed him, saying, "Bryan Singer, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent," and all that. The guy is being sued. So it's an interesting case, because it'll be interesting to see how it comes out, because this fellow who has made these accusations, essentially he needs to prove it. And if he proves that Bryan Singer did this, it comes back to, like, would I still be able to watch the X-Men movies and enjoy them? And I think, again, the answer is yes. Like I said about Days of Future Past, Bryan Singer's not the only one involved in making that movie. There's all sorts of producers, writers, and actors. And I'm not going to be like, they were in a Bryan Singer movie, so I'm not going to go see it. I have some of Bryan Singer's movies. I have the X-Men movies. I have Valkyrie, Usual Suspects. All great movies, great actors. But Bryan Singer's involvement won't taint that, because, again, he wasn't the only one involved in making them. So I think my opinion there would basically be, I'd be a fan of the work, but not necessarily of the man, because I wouldn't necessarily be like, I like Bryan Singer's movies, therefore I condone what Bryan Singer has done. Again, alleged to have done. And I don't think you're necessarily saying that, because, again, there's all sorts of people involved in making the film. You're supporting them. I mean, like, just because the director fucked up, the others don't have to suffer. So, like, I'll still watch the man's movies. I'll still be going to see the X-Men movie when it comes out, because they don't have to. The people other than Bryan Singer don't have to be guilty by association. So that's that. Now, I've never met Bryan Singer, so it's kind of easy to, I don't know, be critical or to give a kind of a biased opinion of the man, because as much as I love his work, I've never met him. I don't know him personally, so I can be unbiased. Sorry, I used the wrong word there. I can be unbiased because, again, I don't know the guy. But in the case of the story I'm going to talk about now, I don't necessarily know the guy, but I've met him on multiple occasions, because I go to conventions and I've met various actors and stars of the TV and the movies over the years. People I would be a big fan of. And one of them in particular recently came in for some criticism for his opinions. And the actor's name is Adam Baldwin. Now, he's not related to the Baldwin brothers, Alec, William, and Stephen. It's just they share the same name, they're not related. Now, Adam Baldwin, he's been in movies like Independence Day. He's been in, he was in the recent kind of Poseidon adventure remake that was on TV. Most notably, to me anyway, at least, he was in the short-lived Joss Whedon TV series Firefly as Jane Cobb. He was in the subsequent movie Serenity. And he was in the kind of comedy spy TV series called Chuck. So again, I'm a fan of the guy. And my mother, Lord rest her, loved him in Independence Day. She loved him in that. So I know I've met him. So that's why it's interesting to whether I can reconcile it, given that I've met the guy and my impressions of the man. Now, I'll point out what he did. He recently went on a bit of a Twitter rant, because in America they've been talking about same-sex marriage. I mean, that's talked about everywhere. England recently legalized it. Certain states in America have as well. I don't know who exactly in America, apologies for that, but certain states in America are trying to legalize it, and some have. Now, he recently kind of hopped on Twitter talking about how he essentially, if you believe the hype, he compared gay marriage to incest. He said something to the effect of, one of his tweets here, what's wrong now with a father marrying his son for love and to avoid tax penalties? Now, how you make that association with gay marriage, I don't know. Now, again, I'm a big fan of Adams, and I used to follow him on Twitter. Now, I had to unfollow him, because he's a Republican, right? He loved George Bush, hates Barack Obama, and Republicans in general tend to have very strict views on matters. And I follow all sorts of celebrity people on Twitter, and Adam Baldwin was one of them, but I unfollowed him primarily because I would read his tweets, and they just got very I don't know, very angry. I think not necessarily absolute fury, but he just got. They were very kind of strict, very kind of political. And again, I'm not a very political person. Like, I follow celebrities on Twitter because it's like, if I can, let's hear what the guy's up to, work wise. But he was taught, he was, again, social media is for expressing your opinion and seeing what other people think. But again, his tweets were just too political and way too kind of fucking, I suppose fanatical might be the thing, which is almost a fucking trademark of a Republican in America, that they're very kind of strict and fanatical in their opinions and beliefs. And that's fair enough. But it's just, for someone who's kind of more liberal minded, it's unsettling to read that much kind of negativity. So I unfollowed him. But then he came out with this gay rant. It's not even a rant, it's 140 fucking characters. So you can't have much of a rant when this message is so short. But comparing, gay marriage to incest is a bit of a stupid and silly thing to do. Now, again, I've met the man. And he seemed to me like a nice guy. I mean, I was in queue for his autograph, and the queue was fucking huge. And I was entering the costume contest, and I was in the queue going, God, I'm going to be late. Gotta put the makeup on and get in the costume. And Adam became aware of this, and he stood up and he goes, listen, if there's anyone in the autograph queue who has to get ready for the costume contest, come to the front, I'll sign your stuff now. Very nice guy, and had a few words with him. He's very nice, and that's why it's kind of weird when I followed him on Twitter, and I thought, oh, Adam Baldwin, nice guy he was, and then to read his tweets about his extreme views on things, his rants about how he doesn't like Obama and the healthcare over in America. Obama wants to bring in socialism and all this. It was kind of it's hard to reconcile that with the guy I met. Now, I know as an actor, as a famous person, he has to put forward a kind of a persona. But I would imagine you can't be that all the time. I mean, I like to think that when I meet these guys at conventions, these stars of TV and movie, that they're themselves. Because, sometimes they're at the parties. Adam wasn't, but sometimes they're at the parties and they're just great people to hang around with. They're just like you and me. So when I read Adam's tweets and his kind of extreme views, and most recently this thing about gay marriage, it was hard to kind of reconcile, given that, and some of my friends were talking about how, I'd never met Adam Baldwin, I wanted to, but no, I can't be arsed, if he talks like that. And again, that's a more kind of that's their prerogative. But I'll be honest, it's not going to stop me watching Firefly or Chuck. They're what I have on a DVD, and I have Independence Day as well. Because again, I hark back to the previous one about Bryan Singer. There's a lot of people involved in that. I mean, if I had a DVD of Adam Baldwin on his own, just talking to the camera, maybe doing stand-up comedy or something, he wouldn't, but then maybe I'd stop watching that. Maybe I'd bin that deep, because that's just him. But with Independence Day, Chuck, Firefly, Serenity, and all the other stuff he's involved in, the thing, it's other people as well. So I think I'll still watch them. But it'll be tinged with a bit of weirdness, because again, unlike with Bryan Singer, I've actually met Adam Baldwin, and he's always struck me as a nice guy. So it's kind of, can you think a person is nice with given their extreme views? And I think you can. Because, again, I used to know a guy in school who I can only describe as probably the most hardcore racist bigot I've ever met. I've heard about racists and bigots, but I've met very few of them. This guy hated blacks, he hated fucking the Chinese, everybody, hated gays, all that. But strange enough, this is going to sound weird, he was actually a nice guy. I got on with him, we had good conversations, but the point is our differing opinions never met. Because I think he probably understood, look, he doesn't think like I do, that's fair enough. He's a nice guy nonetheless, even though he would regard what I believe in as bollocks. And we got on. So I think it is possible to have a friendship and to like a person who has such extreme views. So again, I'll enjoy Adam Baldwin's work still, but it'll be tinged with just that bit of the illusion is shattered that he's an all round nice guy, which is how I thought of him. But when I read his tweets and this recent thing, it's kind of, well, he's not exactly the nice. He's not the wholesome nice guy I thought he was. He was still a good guy to me. Like when I met him, he was very nice, very well spoken, good guy. But still, it's sad. Now, the final story I'm going to talk about was with an actual boycott in this guy's case. He's an author, science fiction books and fantasy and stuff, called Orson Scott Card. Interesting name. But he wrote a book called Ender's Game, and it's kind of a book aimed at the teenagers, really, but it's science fiction, right? Now, he had some pretty extreme views when it comes to gay marriage and gay rights. It all seems to be about gays, really, to be honest with you. But no, I have it here. He said about gay rights and gay marriage. He said there are no laws left standing that discriminate against gay couples. Again, which is silly because there are. Gay couples, for the most part, can't adopt. They can't, in a lot of countries and a lot of places, they can't marry. And this was the most extreme thing, I think he said. He obviously expressed this often, given that he's homophobic in that he doesn't approve of it. And when it came to same-sex marriage, he said, and this is the quote, "I will act to destroy that government and bring it down so it can be replaced with a government that will respect and support marriage and help me raise my children in a society where they will expect to marry in their turn." Now, this was in reference to gay marriage. He's talking about he'll actively help to bring down a government that supports it. That's a pretty extreme view. I don't know if he'd fucking pull out a gun and say, right, who opposes? I don't think he'd go that far. But again, it's pretty obvious that he's a homophobic. I don't know if I'd necessarily say bigot, because he might have no problem with it. He might be okay with black people and Chinese people. I don't know, but I describe him as homophobic, because clearly he's anti-gay. Now, there was a call to boycott, or they recently made Ender's Game, which is the book he's most known for. They made it into a movie, and Ben Kingsley and I think Harrison Ford were in it. And there was a call to boycott the movie, like as in, don't support this man's extreme views, do not go see this movie. Now, I didn't go see the movie, not down to his extreme views. It's because I never read the book, and I just couldn't get to the movie. I just didn't go. Nothing to do with I'm making a stand. But again, yeah, he has some pretty extreme views there in regard to gay. Now, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I won't condemn someone for having an opinion. I may disagree with that opinion, but I'm not going to condemn them for having it. But I didn't join in this boycott because, again, my interest in this was kind of less, because again, I've never read the book and I didn't see the film. But it would be upsetting for a lot of Orson's fans that he would hold these views. And it's like, if you're a gay person and you've been a fan of Orson Scott Card, and then you read what he thinks like that, it kind of tinges the it kind of puts a bad spin on the guy, obviously because of such extreme views, but it kind of taints your enjoyment of his work. Given that, we like to think that when we enjoy an actor's work or a writer's work or a director's work, we like to think they're just like us. And you like to think that if you ever met up with Bryan Singer or Adam Baldwin or Orson Scott Card in a pub, you'd be like, hey, let's have a drink and have a sing-song or whatever and a good old chat. We like to think we could do that. And I suppose to a point, I suppose we could. But I would think that if I ever meet Adam Baldwin again, I'll be like, fucking, hi Adam, how you doing? And hopefully, I would hope, it wouldn't affect things. But again, I probably won't know until we meet the guy again. But again, a lot of these guys, Adam Baldwin, Orson Scott Card, lost fans, I would imagine, because of their views, which is why people like to keep things quiet about that, because they're aware of their fan base, and they're aware, look, I don't want to upset them, they like my work, they pay my fucking wages, I don't want to upset them. But it does happen that fans will be upset and maybe lose fans. Because again, I can remember um, when the Michael Jackson allegations came up, people were getting rid of their Michael Jackson music. I would imagine there were fans of Orson Scott Card who were maybe not burning, but throwing away Ender's Game because they're like, I thought this was a nice guy. He's a bigot. And the same would be for Adam Baldwin and Bryan Singer. So the question on whole, I suppose, is can you enjoy it? Can you enjoy the material? And I suppose in a way it depends on the severity of the crime as well. I mean, if a guy's accused of stealing something, that's a lesser crime than fucking the extreme end of abusing children. Now, I personally, my basic opinion regarding these three guys is, can you still enjoy the material? And I would suppose in Orson Scott Card's case, no, because he's a writer. He writes books, he writes science fiction and all that. So in his case, it's just him. It's like I said before, if Adam Baldwin released a DVD of just himself on stage talking, I suppose I couldn't really enjoy that. I'd maybe have to put that away or throw it out. So in Orson Scott Card's case, I think I don't think you could enjoy his output the same way, given the guy's extreme views. So I'd be inclined to think no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't really be able to enjoy his work because it's just him. Knowing his extreme views, it would be. I don't think I could read his book now or see the movie. I never read the book and I never saw the movie, and I don't think I will. I don't think I could enjoy it. Now, in regards to Adam Baldwin and Bryan Singer, they're involved in an industry that involves multiple people. Again, Orson Scott Card is a writer, it's just him. But with Adam Baldwin and with Bryan Singer, they're involved in an industry where there's other actors, there's producers, there's writers, there's all sorts of people involved. So in their case, I think you can still enjoy their material because it's not just them who makes it. It's not just them who helped create it. So I will continue to watch Firefly, Serenity, and Chuck. And I will continue to watch the X-Men movies and Valkyrie and Usual Suspects. Because I don't think the crime of one of those guys should affect everyone else who's involved in the making of that kind of entertainment. Right? Well, that's all I can think of to say, frankly, for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, apologies for the delay to those few who watch my videos. Apologies for the delay, and hopefully it won't be too long again until I make another one. I'll try and make another one next week. So again, my contact info is at the very end of the end credits of this video. My email, Twitter, and stuff like that. So feel free to let me know what you think of the video. Let me know your comments. Should we be able to enjoy the entertainment of these people, given what's against them? Let me know what you think in the comment box below. Thanks very much, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye bye.